Okay, I guess we want to start with HUA, don't we?
Yes, please.
All right, this will be a member of the Hennessy Utility Authority Board of Trustees, September 8th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Richard? Cliff?
Here.
Bert?
Here.
Harold?
Here.
David?
Here.
All right, item 2 is consider approval of the consent agenda, minutes of meetings, approval of claims as follows. August purchase orders, $15,161.40. September purchase orders, $129,861.29. September meter deposit refunds, $930. The treasurer's report in approval of pay application request number 5 from Worth Hydrokin for Hennessy Water Treatment Plant RO replacement project.
If there's no additions to this, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Cliff?
Yes.
Harold?
Yes.
Bert?
Yes.
David?
Yes.
Okay, item 3, citizens' comments. We are in the Hennessy Utility Authority meeting, and soon to adjourn this will be in the Board of Trustees meeting. Has anybody got any comments to bring up concerning anything to do with utility authority? Okay. Other scheduled business: discuss, accept, approve, deny, reject, and/or take action on the following. Item A is discussion with possible action to approve quote for fencing around water tower behind police department, and also repair, replace gate to water plant.
Okay, so on the quotes, let me explain just a little bit about this. The first one from Titan Fence Company, that is the water shop. That's just the water shop. If you remember, we brought one from Titan last month that didn't have the second gate on it. So I said, I've got to take this back to them and make sure that they have 2 gates, because they're both going to be
Around
sliding
the water
gates.
tower.
Yes, around the water tower. So this first one is the water tower. The other 2 from BR Home Service and from Wright Construction, that is fixing the gates at the water plant.
Somebody ran into it.
It looks like it, but it's been like that for quite some time.
So I have some concern about the fence around the water tower
Okay,
and be able to get into the shop.
yes.
Do they have that worked
Mhm.
out where
Yes.
it's not?
Because the gates are gonna slide towards, well, yes, slide towards
North?
the building. They're
Okay.
gonna slide west.
Okay.
They're not gonna open up or anything like that, they're gonna be sliding gates.
And will there just be an opening into the overhead door of the shop, or will that be fenced to navigate?
That's not gonna be fenced, no. It's gonna be, it's gonna include the back of the water
The
shop.
water shop. So
Yes.
we're fencing 3 sides basically.
Correct, yes.
And using the water shop building as a barrier. You approve that, okay?
Mhm.
Okay. They should, but
I got a question on the Wright Construction estimate. I see the word barb extensions. Is that the same thing as barbed wire on top of the fence?
Yes,
Okay, that's
yes.
what I thought. It looks like it's 3 strands, 4.12 gauge barbed wire.
Yes.
That is outstanding. I'm glad you asked for that on that. I think that's very important. That's all I have on it.
is Wright Construction, is that Wayne?
Yes.
I assumed it was.
And BR Home Services is Benny right now. Benny Ridenour. They're both locals.
The Wayne's just for water plant.
Both of them. The only one for the water shop is the Titan. Titan didn't want to do water, or the water plant, and the other two didn't want to do the water tower, so.
So do we need to have two different motions, one for the,
It can be the same motion and just put in all them in the
Okay.
motion.
I make a motion to use BR Home Services and Wright Construction for fencing.
Hold on just a minute. BR and Wright have the same
They're
for the
bidding
water
on same
plant.
project.
Oh,
This is the only bid we've got on the water tower fence. The other two
Oh, I-
are bids on the water plant
okay.
out at the RO. So we've got to pick between,
You pick one, but basically Titan's the one for the water tower.
right,
And then you gotta pick one or the other
they're
for
the
the
only
water.
quote we've got.
We all said, I make a motion to have Titan Fence Company to do the water tower and Wright Construction to do the water plant.
I second that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Roll call?
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I had a question on the Worth Hydrochem application for payment. Can we go back and do that now, or do you want me to do it later on in the meeting?
No, well, we should have pulled it out of consent agenda.
If you want to discuss something that's in the consent agenda, you need to ask the mayor before they make a motion to approve the consent
Yeah, I
agenda, to
was
bring
going-
it down.
I was going to, but I didn't want to be rude and interrupt.
No, you have to.
Is it something we can answer that, go ahead.
Oh, okay, I was just gonna ask Tiffany about this change order number one. I don't know why, but I don't see any narrative that goes with that.
You approved change order number 1 last month.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
And that is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is actually my question, that is the frame on the old RO, is that right?
No,
Okay,
that is where they had to go down and fix that leak that was down
Okay.
in
all right, I got you. So we are yet to see sometime in the future
correct.
the bill for
It'll
the
be-
frame on the old RO.
It won't be this company.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
I got you.
That
Thank you,
answer
Mr.
your
Mayor.
question?
Yes, sir. Very good.
We couldn't change anything.
Yeah.
But
I'll start interrupting more often.
okay. Okay, new business. Anybody got any new business? Once again, citizens' comments. Councilperson reports.
Now, did the cemetery go here?
No, the other one.
Okay, all right.
This is water, sewer, and garbage.
Sure, thank you. I have no comment.
Okay, David, you got anything?
Nothing, sir.
Motion to
I'm
adjourn.
good, sir. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
I second it. Okay.
Roll call?
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Catch you in mid-bite.
You did.
Sorry. We will go ahead and open the meeting for the Town of Hennessy Board of Trustees. We may rearrange the agenda somewhat because our town attorney is coming, but he will not be here till closer to 7. So this will be a meeting of the Town of Hennessy Board of Trustees, September 8th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Richard, Cliff,
Here.
Bert,
Here.
Harold,
Here.
David.
Here.
Okay, report from Hennessy United Board. I don't see anybody here on the board besides myself. The only thing that is being worked on right now, of course, the Wine and Chocolate Festival. And we will be meeting again, I believe, next week to kind of finalize plans on that. But as far as I know, everything's coming along pretty well.
I have a comment on that
Okay.
topic. All the advertising has been placed.
Okay,
and will kick in, I believe, next week. And then all the signage has been put up. And
looks good too.
new signs are coming for the actual event also, and I believe they're done. He got those done yesterday, so that thing is ready to go.
Great. Okay, consider approval of consent agenda, minutes of August meetings, approval of claims as follows: August purchase orders, $10,155.51. September purchase orders, $30,716.97. September restricted sales tax, $9,022.10. That can't be right. Because that's not including the payment to Life EMS.
Probably need to add that.
Add that to that 9,000. Okay. September library fund, $5,527.24. September street and alley fund, $6,260.58. And accept the following reports: treasurer, library, police. Approved payment of noted invoice 18523-1 using local funds for CDBG grant 1852321. Approved the employee handbook and approved contract with Computer Information Concepts for financial accounting software.
I'm so sorry. I was trying to
That's
put
fine.
it on silent. I just got this watch. I don't know how to do it. Obviously, I did something wrong.
The
I'm not
September,
muted,
the
sorry.
September RSD fund will be $25,989.69 instead of $9,022.
Did you add it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The contract with Computer Information Concept is an annual peopleware agreement that we do for accounting software. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay.
If not, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Cliff,
Yes.
Harold,
yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Okay, citizens' comments. Does anybody have anything you want to comment about? If you've got something on the agenda, it will be coming up. I don't know what everybody, feel free to, if you've got a comment on something
You
that's
signed
on.
in to speak.
Yeah, he's like the Solomon signed it. You can step up over there to the
Oh,
podium.
okay.
Do you want to talk now or do
Go
you
ahead and
want to talk
skip
to
to that,
her?
or
Do what?
we can go ahead and skip to that, to where the zoning.
Okay, I guess we want to start with HUA, don't we?
Yes, please.
All right, this will be a member of the Hennessy Utility Authority Board of Trustees, September 8th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Richard, Cliff,
Here.
Bert,
Here.
Harold,
Here,
David.
Here.
All right, item 2 is consider approval of the consent agenda, minutes of meetings, approval of claims as follows. August purchase orders, $15,161.40. September purchase orders, $129,861.29. September meter deposit refunds, $930. The treasurer's report and approval of pay application request number 5 from Worth Hydrokin for Hennessy Water Treatment Plant RO replacement project.
If there's no additions to this, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
second,
Roll call, please.
Cliff,
Yes.
Harold,
yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Okay, item 3, citizens' comments. We are in the Hennessy Utility Authority meeting, and simply adjourn this will be in the Board of Trustees meeting. Has anybody got any comments to bring up concerning anything to do with utility authority? Okay. Other scheduled business, discuss, accept, approve, deny, reject, and/or take action on the following. Item A is discussion with possible action to approve quote for fencing around water tower behind police department and also repair, replace gate to water plant.
Okay, so on the quotes, let me explain just a little bit about this. The first one from Titan Fence Company, that is the water shop. That's just the water shop. If you remember, we brought one from Titan last month that didn't have the second gate on it. So I said, I've got to take this back to them and make sure that they have 2 gates, because they're both going to be
Around
sliding
the water
gates.
tower.
Yes, around the water tower. So this first one is the water tower. The other 2 from BR Home Service and from Wright Construction, that is fixing the gates at the water plant.
Somebody ran into it.
It looks like it, but it's been like that for quite some time.
So I have some concern about the fence around the water tower
Okay,
and be able to get into the shop.
yes.
Do they have that worked out where
Yes.
it's not?
Because the gates are gonna slide towards, slide towards the
North.
building. They're
Okay.
gonna slide west.
Okay.
They're not gonna open up or anything like that, they're gonna be sliding gates.
And will there just be an opening into the overhead door of the shop, or will that be fenced to navigate?
That's not gonna be fenced, no. It's gonna be it's gonna include the back of the water
The
shop.
water shop? So
Yes.
we're fencing 3 corners, 3 sides basically.
Correct, yes.
And using the water shop building as a barrier. Do you approve that okay?
Mhm.
Okay. They should, but
I got a question on the Wright Construction estimate. I see the word barb extensions. Is that the same thing as barbed wire on top of the fence?
Yes,
Okay, that's
yes.
what I thought. It looks like it's 3 strands, 4-point 12 gauge barbed wire.
Yes.
That is outstanding. I'm glad you asked for that on that. I think that's very important. That's all I have on it.
is Wright Construction, is that one?
Yes.
Okay. I assumed it was.
And BR Home Services is Benny Ridenour. Benny Ridenour. They're both locals.
The Wayne's just for the water plant.
Both of them. The only one for the water shop is the Titan. Titan didn't want to do the water plant, and the other 2 didn't want to do the water tower, so.
So do we need to have 2 different motions, one for the,
It can be the same motion and just put it all in the
Okay.
motion.
You do know what
I make a motion to use BR Home Services and Wright Construction for fencing.
Hold on just a minute. BR and Wright have the same
they're
for the
bidding on
water
the same
plant.
project.
Oh,
This is the only bid we've got on the water tower fence. The other 2
Oh, I-
are bids on the water plant
okay.
out at the RO. So we've got to pick between,
You gotta pick one, but basically Titan's the one for the water tower.
right,
And then you gotta pick one or the other
they're
for
the
the
only
water.
quote we've got.
You're all set. I make a motion to have Titan Fence Company to do the water tower and Wright Construction to do the water plant.
I second that. You took the words right out of my mouth.
Roll call?
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, I had a question on the Worth Hydrochem application for payment. Can we go back and do that now, or do you want me to do it later on in the meeting?
No, well, we should have pulled it out of consent agenda.
If you want to discuss something that's in the consent agenda, you need to ask the mayor before they make a motion to approve the consent,
Yeah, I
to
was
bring
going-
it down.
I was going to, but I didn't want to be rude and interrupt.
No, you have to.
Just throw some-
Be aggressive.
Is it something we can answer that? Go ahead.
Oh, okay, I was just gonna ask Tiffany about this change order number 1. I don't know why, but I don't see any narrative that goes with that.
You approved change order number 1 last month.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
And that is, correct me if I'm wrong, this is actually my question, that is the frame on the old RO, is that right?
No,
Okay,
that is where they had to go down and fix that leak that was down in the,
all right, I got you. So we are yet to see sometime in the future
correct.
the bill for
It'll
the
be-
frame on the old RO?
It won't be this company.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
I got you.
That
Thank you,
answer
Mr.
your
Mayor.
question?
Yes, sir. Very good.
We couldn't change anything.
Yeah.
But
I'll start interrupting more often.
Okay. Okay, new business. Anybody got any new business? Once again, citizen comments. Councilperson reports.
Yeah, did the cemetery go here? Or-
No, the other one.
Okay, all right, well,
This is water, sewer, and garbage.
Sure, thank you. I have no comment.
Okay, David, you got anything?
Nothing, sir.
Motion to
I'm
adjourn.
good, sir, thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay.
Roll call.
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
We will go ahead and open the meeting for the Town of Hennessy Board of Trustees. We may rearrange the agenda somewhat because our town attorney is coming, but he will not be here till closer to 7. So this will be a meeting of the Town of Hennessy Board of Trustees, September 8th, 2022. Roll call, please.
Richard, Cliff,
Here.
Bert,
Here.
Harold,
Here.
David.
Here.
Okay, report from Hennessy United Board. I don't see anybody here on the board besides myself. The only thing that is being worked on right now, of course, the Wine and Chocolate Festival. And we will be meeting again, I believe, next week to kind of finalize plans on that. But as far as I know, everything's coming along pretty well.
I have a comment on that
Okay.
topic. All the advertising has been placed
Okay,
and will kick in, I believe, next week. And then all the signage has been put up.
looks
And
good too.
new signs are coming for the actual event also, and I believe they're done. He got those done yesterday. So that thing is ready to go.
Great. Okay, consider approval of consent agenda, minutes of August meetings, approval of claims as follows: August purchase orders, $10,155.51. September purchase orders, $30,716.97. September restricted sales tax, $9,022.10. That can't be right. Because that's not including the payment to Life EMS.
Probably need to add that.
Add that to that 9,000. Okay. September library fund, $5,527.24. September street and alley fund, $6,260.58. And accept the following reports: treasurer, library, police. Approved payment of noted invoice 18523-1 using local funds for CDBG grant 1852321. Approved the employee handbook and approved contract with Computer Information Concepts for financial accounting software.
I'm so sorry. sorry. I was trying to
That's
put it
fine.
on silent, I just got this watch. I don't know how to do it. Obviously, I did something wrong.
The
I'm not
September,
handed,
the
sorry.
September RST fund will be 25,989.69 instead of 9,022.
Did you add it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
The contractor's computer information concept is an annual peopleware agreement that we do for accounting software. Any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay.
If not, I'll make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Cliff,
Yes.
Harold,
yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Okay, citizens' comments. Does anybody have anything you want to comment about? If you've got something on the agenda, it will be coming up. I don't know what everybody, feel free to, if you've got a comment on something
You
that's
signed in
on.
to speak.
Yeah, he signed it, Solomon signed it. You can step up over there to the
Oh,
podium.
okay.
Do you want to talk now or do
Go
you
ahead and
want to talk
skip to that,
after?
or
Do what?
we can go ahead and skip to that, to where the zoning for the mobile homes?
Well, no, we'll get to that after.
Okay, that would be the.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just want to do the last one.
Okay. Y'all have anything?
I don't have anything on the agenda, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for working with me on my tiny house, getting it all set up, the plumbing's almost done.
Okay.
And then you're going to take off the tires and
Yes.
brick
Skirt
around
it.
around the
Yes.
bottom.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay.
Before I stay in it, I'll do that.
Thank you.
Lucy, you got anything? No? Okay. All right. Town administrators report.
So on new employees, we haven't hired anybody. We're still looking for street parks laborer, full-time dispatcher, and children's librarian. I will tell you that we haven't even had any applications.
For any of
So,
those?
no. So we did have one for the children's librarian, we interviewed her, but it's not enough money. So we're running into some big-time issues. We have two people probably, at least one, possibly two people retiring before February. So we're gonna end up in a pinch, so.
So where are we at, like on the librarian, how far are we off from regular people or, other towns? As far as salary, right?
He was he's working on getting how much, area towns, but I will, yes, Stephen is, but I will tell you that Kingfisher pays their children's librarian over $19 an hour. So.
Can they get a police officer part-time?
So, we don't even pay our police officers that.
I know.
So, anyway, but you have to look at Kingfisher too, because they have a Walmart, they have, dealerships, so their tax base is a lot higher. So, the OWRB grant, that's where they're checking out the sewer lines, they're doing a study on the sewer lines. We've been sending them a lot of information on our lagoons that have been built recently and all of that, so that they can start getting their plan out of how they're going to assess the condition of lines and all of that. The Osborne Sewer Project is complete, and I believe that they have done the dirt work. If they haven't, then it's still pending.
The southwest corner is not quite that good. What you told me and what it actually is not quite that good. That manhole is still
The manhole is going to be up.
that high.
it's gonna be up high, yes.
They told me
They
that.
cannot put too much dirt there, because if you walk back there,
Runs off.
it goes into those backyards. And so you can't go too high or you're gonna flood those backyards, and we've gotta be able to make it where it will
So
flow like it used to.
when are we gonna do the project where the concrete, the runoff in the middle there?
They already did that.
They haven't done the concrete part, they just still show dirt to,
Daniels Construction went over there and did it.
they did last there, so.
Mm-mm.
You still see dirt, so that's what,
Have you walked over there to check it out?
it was before you could see concrete right there, and, no, I have not.
Okay.
I just saw them from the road, you see two,
Yeah.
fields, and
I'll check on that, but as far as I know.
I don't know, I don't even know if
Buddy
they're putting
has
that wall back
completed
in
it.
there.
I can't remember how they said that.
You know, if it's just in the ground, but the way I was explaining it, that's gonna put the wall and all that, and cement all that pipe back in there, so that dirt wouldn't wash away.
I mean,
Just asking, you know.
yeah. Okay, I'll check on that and let you guys know. The library building committee, we're still pending architects'
I
report.
spoke with him just about a week ago and gave him some additional information, and he was hoping for something by the end of this month.
Yeah, that's what I put in my report, so, because that's what I put the other day, so. The aquatic center, we have made it through year 3. So, still going strong. And then I'll have the final report of the aquatic center incomes and expenses at the next meeting. So, and also attendance and how many parties and different things.
Cool. Will it have an average daily attendance, or how are you?
Yeah, I can.
I'm just curious.
Or I mean, because I usually do every day, so I
Oh,
put in there every day.
okay, yeah, that'd be great.
The water plant RO replacement project, it has been installed, it's operational, they're waiting for the overall system that's gonna connect the old and the new. So, and they're supposed to arrive later this month. Building permits, I have those listed, those were for August. Those, and if they're denied, then I'll put denied, or which ones are denied. Attached is the monthly financial report that she just gave you. Also, I just wanted to let you guys know some grants that we're working on. So we have the drainage part 2 on the CDBG. We also have the OWRD sewer that we're working with. We're gonna talk tonight about the TAP grant and the REAP grant. Also, Oklahoma Rural Water Association came out yesterday or today with another grant. So I'm looking at it with the guys, possibly looking at doing a extra irrigation reel out there at the field so we can pull off more water, especially when we need it. And then I found out like 2 weeks before it was due, Oklahoma Rural Water Resources Board has a REAP grant also. So next year, and I've talked to Brian Swagel, our engineer, about, Cliff asked about the water line out for the Cabral property. You know, it's the 6-inch line that goes from Highway 81 down Conoco past the railroad tracks. And that grant would qualify under that. It's a $150,000 grant. And so the project is about $250,000. So it would take a lot of that for us. So, and I think that would be a great investment.
Would that get water to the Cabral property?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will open back up in July of next year. So So I will have my radars open for that, so
Okay.
hopefully we can work towards that.
Is there anything available to, through OWRD or maybe use a CDBG or something down the road to get a good mapping system of our water, locate all of our valves?
I'm still looking into figuring out how we can do that. They said that those little balls that you put in the water system to track,
Yeah.
you know, where everything is, but I've looked into it and I'm really not 100% confident that
Well,
that's
I'm not
going
either,
to
because I don't-
find the valves and stuff. So I'm really looking into what we can use to help us. I mean, we have probably 3 sets of maps, and we still find lines that are not
Not on the
even
map.
on those maps, so.
Well, I know we've got valves around that have been covered with street projects and stuff that are, there's valves out there. Now, whether or not they would work after sitting this long, I've got no clue, but it would be nice to just have an
Well,
as-built plan.
Yes, it would. And those valves, speaking of valves, come in with different projects. So like you have a valve to shut off this section, well, they come in and put in new lines around in that area and loop them. So then you can't really isolate that section because there's new lines that were built that feeds part of that too. And so it's, a comprehensive map plan would tell us exactly where we need to set new valves and stuff to be able to shut off certain areas. Also, foundation, this is one I give Richard last month, a foundation, the Chisholm Trail Foundation, they have a up to a $10,000 grant. It's due tomorrow. Richard emailed me and said he's not coming back to town and asked me to get it in, so I'm working diligently to try to get that. We're looking at a lighthouse rejuvenation on that. So the total project is like $19,000. We're gonna ask for half of it, and then Richard said he would put in a fourth, and then if the town would do a fourth.
That's over at Tennessee Park.
Correct, yes.
Great.
So, and then also we have ARPA money. You know, last year we got $177,000, and our next $177,000 will be coming in probably within the next month. So then we're gonna have to start setting down and deciding what we're gonna use that ARPA money for, so.
When are we gonna start on the water project, or the drainage problem over there?
They just released the funds, that was part of this NODA invoice. They just now released the funds, because she had to do a lot of paperwork. Now the engineers are working on the bid packet. So, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on all of those.
Okay. Thank you. All right, other scheduled business, discuss, approve, deny, reject, and/or take action on the following. Item A is discussion with possible action to apply for the noted REAP grant for fiscal year 2023.
After talking with Alyssa, I really think last time, 2 years ago, we applied to replace water lines, you know, old water lines that we have a bunch of leaks on, and it was like 1.5 inch line that fed close to 10 homes.
5 blocks.
Yeah. So I talked to her, and on our planning that we did back in January, we, within the next 5 years, we wanted to replace the line at Dunlap and 4th all the way to 7th. That is a 4-inch, very brittle line. Like, when they start to try to repair a leak on it, they kept having to go back, like, move further and further because it kept just falling apart.
Breaking.
Yes. So that is one that, that she said that we needed to look at. And then also Arapahoe, between Arapahoe and Bonita, from 4th to 5th Street. That's another 1.5 inch line that serves about 7 homes.
So it would go from 4th to 7th?
On Dunlap. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. That would be good because probably the worst fire hydrant in town, or one of the top 5 in the worst, is at 6th and Dunlap, and that would pick it up.
Yeah, because we would go from
And,
a 4 to a 6.
And we should probably put another one along that area, either at 4th or 5th, or we've got one at 7th. And
How many times a year do you open the fire hydrants?
annually, we need to be getting those tested too, before it gets cold. It's time.
Make a motion to apply for the notice grant for year 2023.
I second that.
Roll call?
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David,
Yes.
Okay, discussion with possible action to apply for the Oklahoma Department of Transportation TAP grant.
So, I put, we talked about sidewalks, last month, and, I put down 3 main sidewalks that I think we need to look at. Oklahoma from Maine to the school,
Both sides?
yes.
Okay.
Iowa from Maine to Walnut, because there is no sidewalks and there's a lot of kids that are walking to school.
Okay.
And then Main Street on Main Street from Iowa to 51. Because there's a lot of people that walk to Sonic, the hotel walk to downtown, just different, you'll see a lot of people walking through the grass or through the parking lots or, different things. And I think that would be.
Would this grant cover all that? That sounds like
Not
a
all
lot
of it,
money.
no. Those are the 3 main ones that I identified.
So what do you,
I want you guys'
are you thinking
input,
one of those 3?
probably, yes. Because you're
Probably just
talking
one.
about, if you do one side of the road, you're talking about 4 to a half a mile, and if you do both sides, especially Oklahoma, it would be,
Yeah, more.
it'd be a mile, so, yeah.
Well, sidewalk running a mile these days. Haven't bought any in a long time.
I thought the price last month, but I can't remember. It was,
I think
it
it was
was.
like $150,000.
A mile.
But we can ask for, up to 700,000.
Ask up for how much? I'm sorry.
700.
700.
Okay. That works.
But I can't remember how much he told me.
Daniel's just priced concrete to me, for my building that I'm working on, $6 a square foot. So it's
Material and labor.
Everything.
Yeah.
$6 a square foot, so.
I'm surprised, because that's what it was like 2 years ago. I'm surprised.
Yeah,
they-
well, and since I talked to him 2 months ago, it may be $8 now, I don't know, I hadn't talked to him in a while.
Yeah.
There are already sidewalks on Oklahoma,
There
Yes,
but they're a mess.
yes.
Well,
We got to pick where we want to look
I
at.
would like to know where you guys, yes, so I can get the,
Is
so
it-
I can put it in for the tap, so they can come out and they can, or I can tell them all 3 and they can come out and evaluate and tell me which one would score better or which
Right.
one would,
I think the best one would be Main Street.
I do too.
Especially with the wine festival and the car show and all that stuff, they could.
I have walked the sidewalk on Oklahoma, I mean, a little bit of it here and there, but
Well, you're not gonna ride a skateboard down. You're not gonna ride a skateboard down.
I mean, there are other pretty bad places. Is this grant only available for that, or is there other things we could use it for?
There are other things, but for us, this is like.
This is the best
The
fit?
best, yes.
Okay. All right, my other question is, say Oklahoma Avenue, say if we've got a block that's pretty good, could we skip that block and the next block's not so good, do that one? Or
Okay.
does it need to be contiguous?
I don't know, I'd have to ask that question.
I'm trying to get as much bang for our buck here if we could. And I agree, the one on Main Street would be, and the one on Walnut, I think also is very important because we do have a lot of kids walking.
So would it be better to ask for all three?
I don't-
See where they come out at?
I don't really,
I mean, I can.
I'd a lot rather see those kids on the sidewalk than walking in the street.
Your mom always told you to go play in the street.
I didn't do it enough, did I? Okay,
But yeah, I can put it in and then have them come out.
so you want to
and
just
evaluate.
table it for now till you, or is there any action we need to, do we need to take action to pursue it?
Yeah, to pursue, to looking into, you know, having them come out and evaluate. Because you put in like a, it's called a, it's showing that you're interested in applying. And then they come out and they evaluate what you're looking at and kind of walk you through and tell you, oh, no, that won't fit, or yes.
I make a motion to apply for the Oklahoma Department of Transportation TAP grant for all three. Good. Is that what I want to say?
For sidewalks?
Yeah.
Three sidewalk projects.
I second that.
Roll call?
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Okay, item C is discussion with town attorney on town ordinances and zoning in relation to land uses. He is not here. I think he had a meeting prior to this and thought he would be here close to 7. We can go on to the next item. We may need him for that too, but to clarify any questions, but let's do that. Item D is discussion with possible action to ask the planning board to create a new residential zoning district for mobile home neighbor district and come up where to establish the districts in the town of Hennessy.
Can I?
Yes, you may.
So Harold came in and we were discussing this, and the planning board is the one who goes in and does the zoning, and then they recommend it to the town board for passage after they go through hearings at the planning board and stuff like that of the changes. There's a lot of steps to go through that. So with this, talking about, I think we are in need of places for mobile homes. Right now, the only place you can put a mobile home is in a, legally, without going through a variance process, is putting it into a mobile home park. And then if you want to swap out one in the mobile home park, then it is said in there that you have to bring that mobile home park, I mean, it has to meet all the ordinances the mobile home park does. So, with that being said, we do have a lot of places in town that are not in mobile home parks, that have, you know, mobile homes, single, double wide. I was going through and doing some research. Kingfisher's ordinances are pretty much like ours, but Enid has a mobile home district, neighborhood mobile home district. And after finding that, they have the mobile home, family mobile home district, and then they also have a mobile home park district. So they have both of them. And after seeing that, I thought that that may be something that would benefit us, because there are a lot of people who want to buy mobile homes and place them in town, but with our current ordinances, it's very hard for them.
Correct. Now, and correct me if I'm wrong, but it's by state statute that the planning board has to do that,
Correct.
correct? But we cannot.
Correct.
Okay.
But we can change the ordinance.
No, not concerning zoning.
uh,
It would have to be done by the planning board. So,
I mean, they present to you guys, like you can pass
Right.
it down to them and then they do it and then they present it to you guys.
they
After
vote
they've
on it, then
approved
we
it,
vote on it.
then you guys
Yeah.
vote on it.
Yeah. We eventually do.
Yeah.
Answer your question.
But like this, so we can ask them to relook at the zoning
Yes,
and
and,
the ordinance for that.
yes, and there's specific things I would like to see us ask them to look at in particular.
This is, like I said, this is my deal, you know, I came to Tiffany about it. Here's my thing, if you're a young couple, just got married and have one kid, you know, the only thing if you're at a level entry job, the only thing you can do is rent a house here in town and pay $500 to $1,000 a month in rent, you know? And if I have a family member, which a lot of us live here, and lived here for a long time, just as a matter of fact, I'm gonna use my son for an example. He put a trailer house over on on my property, you know, 15 years ago, or whatever it was, you know. Now he's put a double wide over there, you know, and, you know, he decided to pay the $500-600 a month payment, but it's his when he gets done with it. It's not in our pocket or their pocket or whatever. And my deal is, there's a lot of places on the western part of town that, and I live in that neighborhood, so, you know, I would rather see a newer trailer house be able to be moved in than some of the junk that's there, you know? It would clean it up, you know? And I think once you did that, you know, our ordinance would be easier, you know, hey, it's gotta be skirted, you know, I got one over there now that looks like Stanford and Son, you know, place. And it, you know, and he's asked to put a new one in, but was turned down. So his only option was to rebuild it, you know. But now he's got forever to rebuild it because the way our ordinances are, he don't have to come and get a permit. Because while he's replacing this or that, he don't have to get a permit.
Not changing the outside structure.
Yeah, so. You know,
Well,
that's-
where I was going with, I think I'd like to see us create a specific list for the planning board to look at. And among those things are if there is an existing mobile home. I had a lady ask me just today, who lives in a very nice double wide, that's zoned residential, what if my place burned down?
And that's what.
On my property, you know, and I would like to see the planning board come up with something, and I'd like to see some
There's
specific things that they
something
look at.
in
But like,
the thing, if there's like something
A
like that.
disaster, they can
Disaster.
replace it.
see, what I've read in ordinances is, you know, 'cause I was talking about somebody, if we had a tornado come through here and rip, it's actually 180 days that they're allowed to move something in and keep it there for 180 days. They don't state that they can keep it there longer.
Does it say, oh, I see what you're saying. I think you may replace it with 100.
I think it is replacing it.
And, you know, like, when you talked about it, it's how you read the code, how everybody reads the codes different, you know?
That's why I see attorney to be here.
And my thing of it is, right now, if a tornado come through here on that side of town and wipe out 10 trailer houses, you know, FEMA can come in here or whatever and put a trailer house there and they can live in that for 180 days. But after that, what are they gonna do for 180 days? Because them 40 and 50-year-old trailer houses don't have insurance. You know, because they're not worth that much, you know? So most of your insurance companies are not going to insure you on that trailer house. And most people that live in them trailer houses ain't gonna try to find $1,000 a month insurance to do that because them trailers ain't worth that.
Mobile home insurance is expensive.
You know, so you
Bought it before.
you know, you either wipe out, but, you know, my thing of it is like on single wide or single trailer house, and I don't even know if we're discussing that, but, you know, if you can move a single wide in, and if it's less than only like, you know, from maybe a 2017 model and up, they can move back into a single wide. You know, a double wide, I can see where you could move them in, because you can do more work to them and fix them up, you know, and make them look a lot better. Because most of them got outside outside of it, just like a house, the siding and all that, you know. No, I don't want to see one that, like over there on, what is that, Iowa, that moved in there and it looks like junk that we allowed to go in. You know, I wouldn't want to see one like that go in there right off the get-go. But, you know, that's one of the ones that I think if they brought pictures and stuff like that to us, not to us, but to the planning board, then that would give them something to go by. And then list all right, you gotta put a skirting around it, whether it be brick or whatever, you know, you gotta put a front porch on it instead of, or a decent sized porch on it instead of just 3 little steps up it.
That's the thing that I would like to put on a list for the planning board to consider.
Yeah.
All of those things, plus if just what you brought up is a perfect example of your neighbors, and I know the place you're talking about because I drive by it fairly often, is they would be much better to pull that old trailer out and put in a newer one. The neighborhood would look much better, and I don't see any reason for us to prevent that. You know, I think where there are mobile homes, that you should be able to put a mobile home back. And if there's cases of areas in town that there's mobile homes around you, then it should be classified as one of those, what you call it, Tiffany, a mobile home
Neighborhood district.
neighborhood district.
My deal is like this, and I'm just gonna say there's 3 mobile home parks here in town. Actually, the town of Hennessy only recognizes 2. All right? The best looking one in town is the one down on 4th Street. They keep that place manicured, and they cannot pull a trailer house out of there and put a new one in. And I might be wrong on it, but you're gonna have to show me, because the map that I was looking at, like I told you, I was looking at this. But the one on 7th Street, they can clean that up. The one down here on Cemetery Road is hardly ever mowed, you know, grass was, you know, just 4 foot tall down there. The best one is right down here on 4th Street. There's one over here by the school that we know, like I said, and I told you earlier, the school could solve that problem real easy by annexing that land and take them. But the thing of it is,
One on Kansas and Arapahoe.
yeah, but that deal over there, you got $1 million gymnasium, you got $1 million auditorium, and then you go across the street and we got 4 houses that don't look so great. And if they could be able to at least put a new trailer house in there, that would clean that neighborhood up. You know, now the school could do us all a favor and annex that, and you know, make another parking lot out of it. You know, you know, so.
You have to buy it.
But you know, but yeah, you annex it and you can buy it. You know, but what I'm saying, but it would still clean that up over there. You know, like I said, you know, and I'm not saying I have where I built my house. There's a house to the east of me. I would have not a problem if somebody moved a single wide in trailer house in there and cleaned that place up. You know, and you know, I might be white trash or whatever you want to call it, but I'm born and bred in Oklahoma and proud. And so,
Well,
I've lived in that neighborhood. You know, I was raised in that neighborhood, and 3 of them trailer houses in my neighborhood have been there since I've been a kid.
sure.
So the thing of it is, when you update them houses, you get better electric, you get better plumbing, you know, and sometimes that for a firefighter, it'd be a lot easier to fight that type of deal than who knows what they've done to the inside that trailer house to make it livable for the last 45 years. Mhm.
Well,
The town condemned some of those that were over there. I thought that was cleaned up several years ago. Did we not do that?
Yes, a bunch of that was
Okay.
cleaned up, Bart. Yeah. This mainly has to do with areas in town that would be logical places for mobile homes, but it's against our codes.
Can I
Against
ask-
the zoning.
Like I said, Solomon, I know you're gonna speak, what's your address to your place?
425 West Oklahoma.
All right, just 3 years ago, there was a double wide sitting there that got repossessed or whatever. Past, the runners are still there, the skirting.
West Iowa, my bad.
The skirting's still there, so, you know, and there's double wides across the street, you know, and,
But
you
they're
know,
all grandfathered in, is that the deal? Is that why they're still there?
that's what the attorney needs to be here because, you know,
Oh, okay, sorry.
you know, the problem that you, to me, that you have is, you know, which, you know, I'm ready for the argument with him when he shows up, is about the zoning of that deal. How do you rezone something when a trailer house is sitting there? How do you rezone it a different flavor when something like that's sitting there, you know?
And that means that they're grandfathered in until,
But my deal
they
is,
have to be
if there's a trailer house there, it ought to have been zoned trailer house. But that's when he's there, so,
Yeah.
but,
Well, I still would like for us to prepare, and we don't necessarily have to do it tonight, but I would like to see us prepare some, and I'd like to get it out in the public that this is going to be discussed so that we get some public input, but to prepare some things that we would like to see the planning board consider. One is if there's an existing mobile home there, they can put it out, pull it out and replace it of equal size because of, well, I would even go beyond that, not equal size, but as long as it met setback requirements like any other building permit would. But the other thing is to look at the mobile home districts because I think there's areas that mobile homes should be allowed. It wouldn't have a problem.
just
at
like
all.
the one that I forgot over there by that, since the previous owners I've owned it, it's cleaned up almost 100%. You know, 10 years ago, the one just a block north of Oklahoma and Arapahoe, we had all kinds of problems with that one, you know what I'm saying?
Where?
From Oklahoma and Arapahoe, about a block north.
Oh.
And it's one that's pretty well cleaned up. Yeah.
You know, so, you know,
Where are the designated mobile home parks? I know the one at Cemetery and 4th,
7th Street.
7th Street, by between Cimarron and Cheyenne. South 40 and
Where?
South 40.
Yeah. That's the only thing I know about. See, you know, and that's what makes it kind of bad, is like the one over there on 7th Street. You know, and that's what gives the best people a bad public opinion about traffic, because it could be cleaned up a little bit.
sorry, Jack. So right now, it is Kansas and Arapahoe. There's one there. Behind the rodeo grounds, that's listed as residential mobile home. Turkey Creek Park.
Okay.
Down there on 7th Street and Arapahoe, where all those trailers
Oh,
are.
okay.
And then Lucy's over here on 4th and Cheyenne.
Mhm.
And then the
7th Street.
7th Street.
What about the one behind the school?
No, that's zoned R3.
And in all honesty, that is a place that if those trailers left, I would like to see trailers not go back simply because of the school campus, and I think it could be better used for parking and things to benefit the school.
Tiffany, what about 2nd Street? Is there anything on 2nd Street East?
No. And the only thing that we have in our codes now is for an actual residential mobile home park. And so, I mean, and in that park, like when they did Turkey Creek, they had to fence the outside of the park. They had to have, cement drives. There's a lot of
Concrete
things.
pads, yeah.
Yes, there's certain things in the code book that says for it to be a mobile home park. So,
like on this, I make a motion to ask the planning board to create a new residential zoning district for mobile home district, and you come up with to establish a new district in town. Would that be what I need to say? Are you ready to do it, or you want to argue this? I'm gonna sit in 5 or 10 minutes for this.
Well, no, I don't think so. I just, and I don't know that we need to particularly write out a list. I keep saying a list, but I would like for them to look at certain things, which, I mean, there's nothing to say that any of us in this room or anybody else in the community can't come to their meeting, because it'll be an open public meeting as well.
Because I'm with you, there's certain places that they need to go.
Exactly.
And, I don't, like the housing division on Osborne, there's like 5 or 6 lots there still open. I don't think it'd be right to put any type of a home there besides the regular brick home. But, and even the lots between that addition Holder owns and the Osborne addition,
Well, and I want to say something, and while we're waiting for the attorney, I guess I can do it now, that is related to this subject and several others in the community. We had an issue Friday that I think all of us are aware of. And Friday night, I was on Facebook, on social media, and saw our town administrator called a Nazi and a racist, and accused of saying some words that I would stake my life that she did not use. What I want to get across to the citizens of this town, if you've got a problem, it's with us. The buck stops right here. Tiffany only does what we have hired her to do. Everybody, and this isn't the first time, and this is why I'm bringing it up, because we've had other issues in town where Tiffany's caught a lot of flack, and I don't think it's fair. She's done her job. Sometimes our police officers get criticized for doing their job. But we're the ones sitting here making the laws and the rules. And so it's not fair to crucify her over something that she has had no part in. Nobody has ever seen her vote one time on this board.
And I will go a step farther. I won't mention his name, but when I seen it on Facebook, I called her and asked her to take it off.
And it was taken off later.
But it was added to private, so I don't know if it was taken off completely or what, but that's what I told her. If you want to know the true story, call your town board. So, I did let her know that it was.
Well, and I'll even go beyond that. I'd say call town hall and talk to Tiffany, because there's a lot of things Tiffany knows about that I don't know what's going on.
Right. Because that wasn't right,
It was just a bad situation. I think we're taking steps to resolve it. And, but I do want the public to know, if you're gonna be upset with somebody, I'll take the heat. And it's not fair for an employee to get chastised in that manner, regardless of who they are. I'd take that for any employee in this town.
Bert, I got a general question, and it's actually about the ordinances, all of those, not just what we're talking about tonight. And I'm gonna tell you a real short story, 30 seconds or less first.
Okay.
I want you to know where I'm coming from. Probably 3 years ago, I ordered me a barn shed for my backyard. The kind that comes on skids, and they bring it to your house and they drop it off of a flatbed and then they position it for you. I ordered one, and then I thought, I had a second thought about it. I'm thinking, well, that may require a building permit. So while I had it on order, it was being manufactured down in Payton, Oklahoma, by that Mennonite organization down there. So while I had it on order, I thought, well, I better get to town hall, which I did, and it wasn't Tiffany. I can't remember who I talked to. It might have been Shelley. It doesn't matter. They told me that, yes, it requires a building permit. So I went ahead and filled one out, and I got, you know, my paperwork and submitted it. And it came back to me disapproved, and it was disapproved by an engineering company in Oklahoma City. And on the disapproval, it had a reference, a legal reference to an international building code standard. And I thought, well, why are they applying an international building code standard to me in Hennessy, Oklahoma? I figured that my permit would be evaluated based on town ordinances and maybe state law. Does that make sense? So anyway, what ended up happening is I ended up having to cancel that and reorder. And let me tell you why they disapproved it. It was disapproved because it had 2x4s in it for floor joists instead of 2x6s. And another thing I want to say about that disapproval is it was based on a regulation that was for buildings for human habitation, okay? And I had actually worked some of that kind of stuff when I was with the federal government. And I just couldn't believe that. But instead of making a big deal out of it, coming up here and beating Tiffany up or beating up somebody else, I just went ahead and paid the extra $100 and waited the extra 8 weeks for my new storage building to be delivered. Fast forward to a couple of months ago. I wanted to put up a 1,500 square foot building in my backyard. I've got the space, I've got the money, I'm trying to improve my property, make it more valuable, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm disapproved based on, there's a town ordinance that says I can only build a 1,000 square foot building in my backyard. And I just don't understand why. I've got plenty of space, and there's plenty of space left over after I cover it with a bigger building. Anyway, again, I went ahead and thought through the situation, and instead of coming up here and, you know, getting mad about it and everything, I got to thinking, well, a 1,000 square foot building will be easier to heat and cool anyway. So, and it'll save me some money on my heating and cooling bills. So I'm going ahead and I'm going to bite the bullet again, and I'm going to go with the 1,000 square foot building. But it's very irritating. That's what I'm trying to say.
And you could apply for a variance.
Well, I know that, but I opted not to. And now, so after hearing those two stories from me on my personal experiences, what I want to ask is where did these ordinances come from? Were they written here locally by a local person? Or were they brought in from some other organization or another town, and we just adopted them as ours?
We were, and I think what you're referring to back on your storage building issue, I'm assuming that's when we were with IBTS, which is a company that did code work, code enforcement, and that type of thing. I'm no longer using that company.
Yeah.
Now, the building code,
On your storage building too, in here, our building codes, we say that we use the International Residential Code, the International Business Code, and all of that because we follow state law. State law uses a certain date of those IBCs and IRCs and stuff like that.
Okay, so,
and the reason, David, is, for instance, the International Building Code is one of choices that we could use. Instead of the town of Hennessy having to come up with engineering specs on what thickness of pipe you can use, what gauge of wire you've got to use for your residential wiring and all of that, these codes are already written.
Okay.
And it would take, I have no clue how much money and time it would take for the town to come up with its own.
How much did we pay David to rewrite these rules? These days.
I don't know what you're talking about.
David, the guy was ironing that rewrote all these, that went over them. All them, what we pay him to do that for? But he had to make changes in them codes to do it.
Now those are not part of the building codes. These are all zoning.
I'm talking about the ordinance to build that, and stuff like that.
Hello, sir.
I guess I'm confused on what you're talking about.
We
Well, anyway.
we had to take it back to the planning, all that blah, blah, blah. So, my deal is, okay, another question I gotta ask you. Why would we go above and beyond what the state requires versus what we require?
Above and beyond this, what the state requires.
Yeah, like what the state codes are versus what our codes are. You know, why would we go above and beyond what they got?
However, not, that I know of.
And that's what, you know, like I said, a lot of that depends on, I guess, if you talk to, I guess.
Anyway, I want to make sure you guys know that I'm not angry about, you know, what I just talked about and briefed about. It really struck me as odd, you know, that storage building deal, that disapproval on that. And
I agree with you 100%.
I just couldn't believe that, and I still can't. And
And I will tell you, and Harold and I, but you read codes, and it's the person reading the code, and then another person reads it different, and unless you talk to that person and come with, you know what I mean? Because you can say, hey, this is just a storage building, it's not a building for, you know, habitat.
I mean, 'cause just like me, I met with ATF and I
I
get,
mean, there's
I
just
can get
things like
different,
that, because
every different
everybody
officer
reads
shows up has a different opinion on what
Well,
the rules are.
and in that particular situation, I didn't want to drive to Oklahoma City and go in there and argue with those engineers.
Oh, no, they come here. It
Didn't
was a
wanna do
building
it.
inspector, he come here.
Yeah.
Yes, I think
Yeah.
here.
Obviously, I didn't handle it correctly, but I bit the bullet on it. Cost me $100 and another 8 weeks on my building.
But you made all that money up in your town boards.
Yeah.
Made it home.
So I can go, make a motion to ask the planning board to create a new residential zoning district for the mobile home neighbor
Okay.
district and come up where to establish the district in the county of Hennessy. Is that right?
Yeah.
I second that.
Roll call.
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.
Hi, John. For those of you that don't know, this is John Wynn, our city attorney, and we tabled an item until you got here.
Thank you.
We've got on the agenda discussion with town attorney on town ordinances and zoning in relation to land uses. The next item, which we just made a motion on, was discussion with possible action to ask the planning board to create a new residential zoning district for mobile home neighbor district and come up where to establish the districts in the town of Hennessy. So I think that will be good, but I wanted you to be here to answer. We've like Harold said, we read the codes and sometimes we interpret those differently. And Harold asks me questions frequently that I can't answer. And so I thought it would be good to have you in our meeting tonight, and we can discuss this, and hopefully you can help us clarify something.
Well, I don't know, here's what I know. I don't think I know everything, but Tiffany and I have visited once or twice about an issue that involved a double-wide trailer that was transported into your community and sited or parked in a residential zone, And I don't know which, was it R1? What was the zone?
It's R3. It's either R2 or R3. It's R3.
R3. And I didn't have the benefit of your code at hand at that point in time, but there was no building permit issued for that particular structure. And Tiffany wanted direction on what to do. I also think I knew that the owner of the lot and the double wide trailer had been into City Hall to talk about a building permit, but had never applied for that building permit.
He applied, but it was denied, I think. Is that, because it was like 2 years ago?
This
Yeah, it was
is
2 years
Solomon
ago. It was
Park.
back in 2020, not turned in that permit. At that time, in 2020, COVID was scarce. It was around July, and I turned it in. At that time, we were having an issue with, the town was having an issue finding a quota officer. So kind of got let back a little bit, trying to hire one at that time. And 2 months later, or 3 months later, just kind of asked to see, what has happened on that. And basically, I was told that it was denied due to the fact it was a manufactured home. It was verbally, but that's all. I didn't know the process of any of this. I mean, I had no idea. The only thing that happened, I just kind of hold off to that and wait until something would, with that code being around, it was really, really bad in 2020, so it just kind of just got put off for a while, for quite some time, actually, about a year.
Solomon, I don't think we were without a building.
It was at the time that they were trying to hire some guy from Louisiana. There was two applicants. There was
That
two
guy
guys.
worked for IBTS.
That's the
It was
one.
the
It was
company.
one of them two. It was another. There was two of them that they were.
There were a lot of others.
I don't.
Yeah.
It was during that time.
Okay.
Well, regardless, and I'm sympathetic with you, but regardless, at the point in time that the double wide appeared at the building site, there was no building permit. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And so, regardless of whose lot or what zone, your zoning laws try to protect existing owners within each zoning classification. And so the only way we can really do that is by following your code and asking for a building permit and letting your planning commission determine whether that building permit is appropriate or if it needs additional information or whether it just fails. And so your code specifically says that it's unlawful to construct a structure without a building permit. So that's how we create order to the community. And construction is interpreted to mean you park a backhoe on it and with the intention of building a sewer line, or you stack materials on it, or you act in such a way that the other homeowners or commercial owners assume that you're going up with your structure. And so when Tiffany called me and really wanted some direction, and I told her that your code and every other code I'm aware of requires a building permit when you have a zoning, when you've adopted zoning within your community. And that's, as I say, to try to create order to the process and protect the other surrounding property owners.
So when do you pick and choose when you want to stop something?
I'm sorry,
When do you pick and choose when you want to stop something? Because we got places here in town that they're doing dirt work right now, and they haven't got a permit to do that, and we allow them to do that.
yeah.
I mean,
So,
I'm just saying what you said about the dirt moving and having a backhoe there and blah, blah, blah. So when do you stop and,
I think you stop them when there's a complaint, when someone raises the issue. And you may not have a uniform process for doing that. It probably isn't perfect, but certainly if someone makes a complaint or the police make you aware that a structure is being built or from whatever source, then I think you have to deal with that complaint. You can't really just shuttle that under the rug.
yeah, like on the zoning and stuff like that, which, you know, I've owned a piece of property since 1986 here in town, and when I bought it, it was zoned commercial. Since this map came out, now it's zoned residential 3.
Can I state something on that?
Yeah.
I found, I haven't been able to get hold of it
Hold
yet.
on, I'm asking him. So I was never notified, I never notified that that was changed from commercial to.
It was never changed.
Well,
yeah.
No, it was residential back in 1981.
Hmm,
It was residential back in 1981.
where? My property?
Well, you raised two issues, Harold. One is that if you had zoning that was ultimately changed by the town board through a process, then your old zoning gets grandfathered in.
Kingfisher County.
Yeah, I
Not
have
on
a
my
copy now,
abstract.
right there.
It's in your abstract. It should be, it's in mine.
Good. Good. I'll have to get my abstract out and read it again. But I'm just wondering how we do that.
What,
Like if there's a mobile home on a piece of property,
yes,
how do you go about taking that mobile home off of that piece of property and calling it a residential 3? If that mobile home still sits there today, and we're just saying it's grandfathered in, but it's never moved out.
well, that is the answer. If it was originally, if it met the zoning requirements when it was cited, and the zoning requirements were changed by the town board, then it gets grandfathered in. At least as long as the structure is there. If the structure's raised for any reason, or moved, I guess, in a mobile setting, then Katie barred the door, you get the new zoning on top of you.
Right. I'm gonna go back to this real quick. I understand what you did here, but I never was notified that it was changed.
Okay, let me speak to that, Harold. Whenever the town board changes their use planning or their zoning, then they are required to publish and attempt to notify the public in general that the zoning is going to be looked at or changed or altered.
But it's gotta be notified by mail, right?
No,
Because
No.
I've talked to a lawyer, and it's MOL, or one we're fixing to have a conference with, and he stated that to posting it up on town hall and putting it on Facebook wasn't good enough.
well, that's a statutory requirement. I've done it more than once, and it doesn't require any hand mail. There generally is an attempt, we put it in with water bills, things like that. There's an attempt, it's intentional to let everybody know so they can show their concern. But it doesn't affect, if your zoning changes, it doesn't affect you. In other words, someone can't take your trailer home that you have properly installed and turn it into R1 that doesn't accept trailer homes. They can't make you move your trailer home because they have rezoned you, your grandfather.
But if you move it out, then another one never can be moved back in, right?
That's my understanding, yes. That if
So that's
you,
something like you lawyers would have to sit in court argue about, right?
Well, if it's moved, and so that the lot is vacant, then you get the new zoning.
I mean,
And
'cause
that's been decided. And also if the nature changes, for example, if you had a commercial building and all of a sudden you're zoned industrial and you don't want to be industrial, and your building is not raised but is vacant for a period of time, then you can get, then your grandfathering might be contested because you didn't use it for the purpose that you originally did. You stopped using it for that purpose.
I mean, because like me, we got citizens here in town, Hennessy, that you hang it up here on the wall, or you put it on Facebook or whatever, and it's in English, they can't read it. They're Spanish. So how are they notified?
The law, at least the municipal law, has not addressed that issue as to whether you can read and write, or the idea is that there's an attempt to generally communicate, and a lot of that would be a matter of acquiring the lot in the first place. That would be difficult to do if you were not English speaking.
Like me, I built a house on mine, and that's like I was asking Tiffany earlier. For 40 years, that place was a mechanic shop. You know, when did it get reclassified? Because it don't state nowhere in my abstract that what it is. You know, because 3 parcels of land there. You know.
Yeah, well,
Back when it was originally purchased, it was purchased for agriculture.
yeah, that's just a matter of state law, and I mean, I think we're talking about some issues like, you know, should we issue all of our town memorandums and activities? Should we publish that in multiple languages? I mean, that's for your board to decide if you think that that's a issue that needs to be talked about.
I mean, since we're probably about 40% Spanish here in town, it would probably be the best thing, you know, because like we're trying to go through another zone, right? Our other maps are trying to change, and some of them don't line up.
We just done the initial.
It'd be nice that it would be there too for them to see, you know. You know what I'm saying? I mean, just like last month, we had a lady staying here, and you know, we own part of their parcel. That, you know what I'm saying, that when they bought that place, they didn't quite understand what they owned and what they didn't own, right? Esther? So, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, and they're an older Spanish couple, so they ain't gonna learn English overnight, you know. So, but that's, you know.
Yeah, I can say, I work for 18 different cities and towns, and there obviously, there are some communities with greater than 50% Hispanic populations now.
And I was just using 40%.
And I haven't seen that yet, but maybe that's a good idea.
I don't have no problem with that at all.
So I'll finish my story.
Okay.
So Tiffany and I visited, I think last Friday, and she said, well, what do I, you know, we've got a double wide trailer that's ready to be planted, and it's been delivered, it's ready to be planted, there's no building permit. And so my response is, well, you can't do that without a building permit. Your code says it's unlawful. So it's like speeding or tampering with your water meter. It's an unlawful activity, and so the people that we've hired to address unlawful activity is our police force. And so I suggested that that she assigned, direct that to the police department. And unfortunately, that was the result. But I don't know, I don't know, based on your code, I don't know what else to do, because that's what your code says.
Well, and
I think you've addressed it somewhat this
I
evening
think we have.
already.
Yeah, that was what I was getting ready to say. I think when we've asked the planning board to create a new residential zoning district for mobile home and neighbor districts, I think we'll take care of that.
Well, it would, you could go a step further. What I'm seeing in the rural communities is that our traditional housing is almost unaffordable because, and also the number of people that want to build in Hennessy are restricted. You don't have 100 builders here that want to do, and spec building is kind of over because of our banking laws. And so other communities have been or have been tolerant of other types of non-traditional housing, primarily these residential structures that are built off-site. And the one I think of, and I think we can imagine, is the one at Garber, for example, that they build about a 1,500 square foot home that's movable, and they are not an eyesore, and they're used out in rural America, and and so some towns have eased back and said, okay, in addition to a traditional dwelling, which is defined in your code, we're going to also allow X, Y, Z to qualify.
We have some of that.
And so that's what you all could do is within your existing R1, 2, and 3, you could add one other use, which would be a dwelling which satisfies a certain criteria. One problem with that is that has to be well defined, because when you say trailer, that means a lot of different things to different people. And so the industry, I don't think that, the word trailer now has been kind of abandoned by the industry.
Manufactured homes?
Well, they talk about manufactured homes, they talk about pre-constructed homes, they talk about factory-built homes, they talk about modules.
Explain to me what's the difference between a manufactured home and a factory-built home.
I can't tell you. That's part of the problem, is you've got to, if you're going to allow that into your community,
It's the
you've
building standards.
you've got to define it, and then also, we have some codes that actually have photographs of this is what it looks like.
Now, how is, and I'm just talking here, so don't anybody get your panties in a wad, but how does the town tell them that at one time or another, if you want to move a double wide in the town of Hennessy, you can take the tongue off and you can take the wheels off, and we'll allow that, but we just can't allow this, Because nowadays, when you buy a double wide, you either got to rent the tongue and the wheels, or you got to buy them. They don't come with the trailer.
Yeah. Well, I think the answer to that is, at least in Hennessy, regardless of whether it's got a tongue and wheels, it's not considered a dwelling. So it can't go into an R district. It's got to go into a trailer park. That's where you are now, in my opinion.
But if you're taking the tongue and the wheels off of it, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
If you're taking that out of the equation, where could that go?
Well, I think that can go to the trailer park. You've got a trailer zoning area.
But let's just say, like 4 miles out of town here, I'll stop them and put it on the same thing that guy over there at Garber uses to transport it into town. And what's the difference? It's still a manufactured home.
The ones at Garber moved by a regular house moving company.
But that's what I'm saying, but they could do the same thing, once you take the wheels and tires off of it, they can move the same thing.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying you've really got to lock down the definition.
Yeah. I mean, that's what, it's just like, I was telling Tiffany, me and her can both read these codes, and both of us gonna get different opinions of them, And then you're gonna come and tell us, oh, maybe it's the correct opinion of them. And I go talk to another lawyer, and he's gonna tell me something different, That's what, it kinda gets confusing,
Well, what I'm saying is you've got to go overboard, especially in the what I'm going to call the trailer area, and you've really got to define it well.
Good. Just like that incident Friday that you're talking about, he wasn't allowed to park it here, but we say we can park it down here on the quick stop. Now, whether that's right or wrong, I'm saying, so nobody upset here, but we told him we could take it down here and park it at a quick stop.
There were certain reasons why.
So, but you see what I'm saying though, but that, it just didn't make sense how, and that's not even his land.
Yeah, well, it sounds to me like the town was trying to accommodate a problem that he wasn't aware of, you weren't aware of, that he didn't have a building permit. He had to have a building permit first, and so let's try not to. Let's don't just create a situation that is because he could always, if he wanted to, move it into a trailer park at some point in time, or he could come, and I think he has applied for use by review.
He put in a building permit the other day, and it was denied yesterday, and so I have mailed him all the variance paperwork.
Okay. He can always come to your planning board and ask for relief. Whether they give it to him or not, I can't say. But that process requires that you not only file your request, but you've got to notify all your neighbors. So your neighborhood's really going to be your judge. They're going to be the ones that say,
Now, if it goes to district court, what happens there?
well, he'd have to be turned down first by your planning commission in order to get to district court. And district court, let me just tell you, they don't like to solve municipal problems. So he could do that, but the district court's going to have your code book, and they're going to say, what provisions are applicable, and that's going to be true for him or for me or for you if we look for relief.
I thank you for coming, by the way.
So that's what I'm aware of, and I think that your discussion before I came as to trying to find a way to accommodate owners like this gentleman and others is a good idea to start talking about, because that will allow you to accommodate more homeowners, because then you'll have more of a variety and a different value of properties. And so you don't make a one neighborhood mad because you've created an exception for that one property owner.
So there ain't no like discrimination against them, like anything like that could be brought up, or
Well, there would be, but you've got a process for zoning, and that requires that you involve the entire town. You give them notice, you tell them, you say, well, we want to make this an R1 zone and so anybody that wants to come in the future and buy and build has to conform to the standards that we've set, and they're not discriminatory standards. It's a matter of what kind of structure can be put in that zone. So I don't think you're going to find that that's considered discriminatory, as long as there are other avenues for that type of zoning, which would be the trailer park zoning.
That's one thing the guy brought up to me today was, they said 60-70% of the people that live in not travel trailers, but mobile homes here in town are Mexicans, and that's why we don't want them in town. So, but I'm just saying, so, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, just saying what I was told, you know. And I mean, I don't care what they live in, you know, as long as they live here in this, you know, house, apartment, you know.
Well,
Well, it sounds to me like, Harold, you're just the kind of guy that would try to help someone else out.
I know, I got his place at my house. Or when all this went down, he couldn't park it nowhere, I told him to park it out there.
He's ultimately gonna get relief from, in either your trailer park area, your new area that you create, or your board may say, okay, if you'll make your double wide look like a house, we'll let you put it in one of our R1 or 3 zones. So he's ultimately gonna get relief. And,
I'll sell it.
and that's what I think you're looking for, isn't it?
Right, I mean, you know, I live in a neighborhood, there's 3 single wide trailers right by, and they're trashed out. And I would love to be able to see them pull out and do what's put in, you know. And, you know, not only, I think it'd make my neighborhood safer, you know, because they've been there since I was a kid, so they've been there for over 40-some years. So the wiring and everything gets upgraded, and I would love to see that, you know. And, you know, so,
I think we're all in agreement with
yeah,
that.
yeah.
So that'll be resolved.
Hopefully.
So, quick question. My deal was, when I bought it, you know, it was staying at a friend's house, and on, what was it, August 1st, sheriff came up and served me. Like, what is this? I've never been served ever in my life. And I looked at it and had to go to court within like 5 days. Went to court, judge ordered me to, when I went to court, I had to get out of there within like 3 weeks. I panicked. I mean, who would not panic? I mean, I bought the house, or the double wide, been paid for, you know. 2 weeks later, after I bought it, I bought that 2 lots right on Iowa. I wasn't gonna live in it. I was not gonna set up, hook up no utilities. I just wanted to store it because I wanted to get it out of that property. So I only had 3 weeks of trying to get a mover. Trust me, it was really hard to get me a mover to accommodate my time frame. So I couldn't think of anything else. Called the movers, they got me on an ASAP. And I told them specifically that I just wanted to get it moved from there, disassemble it, move it, and put it there. I didn't want them to hook up nothing. I didn't want them to do anything, just to leave it there until I do the proper steps, which is, you know, trying to do which I already had asked for a permit. It's just everything happened so fast within the 2.5 weeks, and it was just, everything happened too fast. And I wasn't gonna have my best friend have it, you know, so I, you know, jumped on it, and I didn't think it was gonna be an issue storing to put it there. I was not gonna have it hooked up or anything like that, just store it there until I can get it approved. So the definition to me is like a horse trailer, you know, on my property. Do I have to have a permit to put a horse trailer there? Because I wasn't gonna I wasn't gonna do anything to that, you know, I was gonna just leave it there until further notice. So that's what happened.
I think it specifically says moving is where and I totally understand. I
Yeah.
really do.
Yeah.
But from the town's point of view, we've got laws and ordinances on the books, and if we don't enforce them all, we
No.
can't enforce any of them.
I understand, and you know what? She done her job. She
Yeah.
done it, and hey, she's protecting what she's hired to do. I mean,
Yeah,
that's her job,
exactly.
you know. But at that point, you have 15 other people here, I'm over here working, I didn't even know they were removing it. I had called them, but they just showed up and just did it, and all of a sudden I got a phone call. Whoa, I didn't know you guys were supposed to be here, But, that time frame was right there. But I wasn't trying to break any laws by no means. I mean, I'm not that type of a person, You guys know me, I lived here for 40-some years. I'm not a troublemaker by no means. I don't break no laws or anything like that. I might speed a little bit, but, that's besides the point. But, try to help, as much as I can with the community and whatnot. Anything's happened, but, it's just one of the deals where you kind of panic and you really didn't have anything else to do, just thinking that, okay, I'm not gonna do
And the
anything.
thing is, we sitting here on the board cannot give anyone permission to break
Yeah.
those laws. I mean, we just can't.
Yeah.
That's just not how it works.
Yeah.
But I think you're on the right track to apply for and then you can put it in there, put it together, set it up, get the water and sewer and
Yeah.
electrical grant.
Yeah. I
You'll be
plan
good to go
I'm not gonna just,
if they approve that. Now, whether they
Right.
will or not, I
Right.
have no
Correct.
clue.
my process on this is, I don't know that you guys know, but I plan to break the whole thing. I'm not gonna do the whole half. I already talked to a lot of contractors. I know a lot of people all over the country, this part of the area anyways. And I got different bids, and I'm not gonna move into it until that thing is constructed all the way I want it to be constructed,
Yeah.
And I'm gonna do it the right way, Break the whole house, break it all up. I don't want not half to the window, not to the everything, concrete, everything that needs to be done correctly. So, but, that's on a different subject with the planning board, for that reason. So, I just came up here and apologize. I haven't had time to apologize to Tiff, because she was doing her job, she really was. I wasn't aware of the situation, what happened on that social media. I did not know about it.
It was taken down.
It was-
That there were multiple comments on it before it was taken down. And I feel like that we've got to protect our employees
Yeah,
from,
absolutely.
that's not, I wouldn't say that about anybody and, except, pardon me.
And the people that know me.
I'm joking, I'm joking.
I called her immediately, as soon as somebody snapshotted me that deal. I called her immediately and said, hey, if you wouldn't mind, take that off of Facebook. And if you want to know the true story, both sides of the story, I'll tell you both sides.
Yeah.
His
Well, I'm glad
version
it
and
came
my
off,
version.
because, and I'm not picking on anyone in particular, because that has happened before. And I just flat don't think it's fair. I just think that's something that needs to stop.
Because if I was the one telling him to do it, I'd have told him to do it next week. And we're all going to done in the conference. So,
No!
Darryl, you're saying
just saying,
Has anybody got any more
Appreciate you
questions or
coming.
Thank you,
comments?
sir. Yeah, thank you for clarifying.
Anything for John before we move on to adjournment?
now we got other things to go. Citizen comments, new business.
Well,
We didn't do that for you.
but we're at the end of the agenda. Okay, is there any new business? Citizens' comments? Anybody want to say anything?
These ladies.
So if I've got one question, is it more entertaining than staying home watching TV? Okay, councilperson's reports. Cliff?
I don't have any.
Got anything?
No, sir.
David?
I'm gonna be honest with you, I need a little more discussion on these ordinances.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Give me 2 minutes, that's all I need.
Okay.
I wanna make sure I understood what you guys told me before he came in
Okay.
about yes or no, these are international standards that we're trying to meet. Is that correct?
building, like your electrical, your plumbing, your building codes, we adopted to what the state has adopted as far as the building codes.
Okay.
Then there is additional stuff such as zoning and stuff like that that's in these ordinances.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. It's hard for it to sink into my brain tissue
That's a lot.
out here in the middle of Oklahoma, in the middle of all these wheat fields, and that we're trying to comply with an international building standard and zoning standards. That's a tough pill for me to swallow.
Well, now the
What's the
zoning
building?
standards are ours, what we have done and what we can change by ordinance through the planning
Let me
board.
give you an example of what I'm talking about, and I wasn't gonna bring this up, but I've changed my mind, I'm gonna bring it up. Some of the construction areas up north part of town, talking about the dust-free parking lots.
Uh-huh.
There's a lot of people in the restaurants churning and talking and carrying on about that. Now, the way I understand it, I'm just talking about the rumor mill, but the way I understand it is that we are trying to cause those people that are doing the construction up there, we are requiring them to create what's called dust-free parking lots. Is that correct?
I think that's what it states
Okay.
in here.
So we're gonna, I guess what I'm saying is, this is another hard pill for me to swallow. How can we tell construction contractors that we need a dust-free parking lot to go along with this building, and yet 50 to 75 feet away, there's a 200-acre wheat field out there that a farmer's gonna be pulling equipment around on, throwing dust everywhere. And again, I'm making this comment based on what I consider my own common sense.
I see where you're, I do.
At least listen to me, okay? I just can't find the place in my mind to where that stuff lines up and works together. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. Again, I'm not blaming that on any individual person or persons. I'm blaming it on those codes in that book right there.
But
What else would I have to blame it on? There is nothing.
there is nothing.
There is nothing.
But, okay, so they've got this, they're putting this building in, this new, nice building, and we decide, oh, we'll let you put in dust-free parking lot, okay? 20 years down the road, okay, now we have expanded, say, a mile north, okay?
Mhm.
And now you've got this dust parking lot too, and now the things, do you get where, now you're in the middle of town?
Well, I understand what he's saying, but like you go by Seaboard over there, you got gravel parking lot, you got that PSC over there, it's got all parking lot. You go over to the school and they got all gravel parking lots. You know what I'm saying? So there's dust gonna be everywhere, and we're forcing somebody to do it. It just don't make sense how that, I know you gotta start somewhere, but, wouldn't you think you'd wanna start on the inner side of the town and work your way out?
Well,
But you
there
can't
again, Harold,
enforce.
and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those
Gonna be
gravel
grandfathered.
parking lots were grandfathered in. Exactly.
And that's what,
Just like the big one over at the schoolhouse,
Exactly.
so,
with
Exactly.
all the handicap spots.
I would love to see that paved.
I
Yeah,
think they're
And
working on it.
eventually, I think they probably
they
will.
probably will.
But, on the other side of that coin, I see a new business coming into town that is on the edge of the community, on a major highway. I want to see something that is going to look good today, that's going to look good 10 years from now. Because, here we go again, back in the early 60s when everything went on the South Highway, there was no zoning. That should have been in an industrial park somewhere, but there was no zoning until 1981. I probably didn't answer any of your questions,
Well,
but
and I guess maybe I'm asking it as a question when I should just be saying it as an opinion. I just, it's, you guys are gonna have a hard time selling me on that making any kind of common sense whatsoever. And I have been remiss since I've been elected. I have not hit that code book like I need to. I will be up here tomorrow reading codes.
Okay.
My turn to talk.
What's a dust-free parking lot? I'm dying to
not
know.
gravel and not,
Can't do donuts.
it's gotta be,
Hard-
seems
has
to
to
be
be
hard
paved.
surface,
Paved, right?
hard
Yes.
surface, Jim.
Hey.
Oh, what's the
But-
big deal about that?
Because like the Howdy Truck Stop, they want 180 feet parking there, that it's gonna cost them $500,000 to, pave that. You know, and the only thing that's really gonna go there is the trucks are gonna park at night. Right across the street, we got the same thing, you know, and we're gonna force one to do it, and the other one's grandfathered in. So, that's the rumors that I've, been here, and you got a wheat field right across the street, same thing, he's gonna plow up, dirt's gonna go everywhere, so.
So we should make an exception and let them do it. We say, oh, you're special.
I'm just telling you
Go
what,
ahead and put rock in yours.
I'm saying that's what the rumor, like I said, we got, and not only that one, the Chisholm, right, and the processing place, we want them to have their stuff
They
paid.
put in millings. I'm not sure if that's considered dust-free or not, but they put in millings.
There are alternatives to hard pavement that will satisfy the dust-free issues. For example, slurry seal is an asphalt product.
See, I think that's what they did over there, because it looked like they sprayed oil.
It would cost maybe 10 or 20% what poured concrete would be. So there are some alternatives to meet the no dust rule. They are not long-term. They got maybe a 5 or 10 year life.
See, that's where,
Yeah.
to me, that's where somewhere that maybe, that's what we need to tell them they can do, something like that. It doesn't have to be pavement, it can be something like what you
Yeah,
said.
the problem with, the problem is they got heavy truck traffic, and so slurry seal is gonna last for about a year or two. And then it's gonna look like a roller coaster. So probably it's not practical, but it might be practical for another business with a lighter load.
Tank bottoms work wonders. So, that's all, I mean, I got one question and I'll be done. Out here on our cemetery, we got that pavilion, right? You're very aware of it, right?
Cemetery what?
Out here at the cemetery, we got that pavilion.
Yes.
And I know we want to put a bathroom out there in the pavilion. But if you go out to the west end of that, can we at least get that sealed off? Because we are losing, the weather is tearing that up. For too long, we're gonna have to replace that whole west end because of the weather. Can we at least seal that up until we get our bathroom thing figured out?
What's he wanting to do, I don't understand.
There, on the west end of the
I
pavilion,
know that wall.
there is no
It's
cover.
deteriorating.
There is no wall there. It's open to
It's
two
got
four stuff
OSB on it,
and OSB
yes.
boards.
The weather's working on it pretty good.
And I was just asking if there's any way that we could cover that up and protect what we got there, even if it's not in our final plans, that, being the wall that we need, but we just need to cover it up with something
We need to find somebody to finish that.
just to protect what was donated to us. If I'd been a donator, I'd be kind of upset that this is what this end looks like. So, that's all I'm asking. So, make a motion to adjourn?
I'll second that. Roll call.
Harold,
Yes.
Cliff,
Yes.
Bert,
Yes.
David.
Yes.